America. Only together we can accomplish greatness. But we are suffering from a separation of people and nation. Are we blind to the fact that labels are the problem? Or is it our pride that won't accept the fact that we have been living in illusions, ranking ourselves on a racial pyramid that only exists in our minds? We have been brainwashed to believe that these racial labels are who we are. But in logic, we are of one race, the human race. We identify as our co-culture and utilize it as a means of ethics, politically and legally. And that is the problem. It is time to accept that we are all Americans. We are one nation. I am not saying you cannot consider yourself Black, African American, Hispanic, Latino, Mexican American, Asian American, white, or etc. But that is our culture, and it should be considered parallel to religion, politically and legally. I am saying that society should not assume or title any American because it objects to their right to privacy and prevents them from receiving their due process, causing many Americans to question if they matter because they are not receiving equal protection of law. Our country is on the verge of destruction because we are too proud to admit that we have been bamboozled by old America. Old America created a race term as a way to separate and create caution with the intent to marginalize any American who did not display a conventional image. There is no one person to blame. We have all been compelled to believe we know who people are based off of a racial label. We have been living in a fantasy, believing we could be separate but equal, circling around change, not realizing we are using racial labels for ethics that was formulated to produce a race ranking system, specifically to create human superiority and inferiority. We have inherited a prejudice ideology. Old America created a race ranking system as a means to maintain a separation of human bodies. America. We are in year 2020, and we are still afraid of change. Pretending to be awake, and most of us are still sleeping, dreaming of the day where we can live in one nation and be separate but equal. It is time to wake up to the fact that categories are used to separate. And if something is separate, it is not united. We have been classically conditioned to associate racial terms with stigma attached, producing a learned behavior that causes us to generalize specific groups of people who have in common a similar skin complexion, label, or language. America. We are just a hand away from greatness, but we must consider the time in which these labels were produced and use our common sense as to why. The number 11 has the best ability to be separate and equal. Nevertheless, it is still an odd number. The only chance we have for our future depends on the now and the actions we take on our pursuit to greatness. It is not about what was. Old America is dead, and their prejudice philosophy is outdated. Either we change or we repeat, because evolution is inevitable. Without alterations, we are merely going in circles. We cannot claim to be awake when we are unaware, because fear and love cannot coexist without creating chaos. Our faith has to surpass our fears. Our hope for equality must outweigh our failures. Our challenges must become our honor, and our change will become our history. Together we can overcome, but individually, there is a need to accept that we are all Americans. It is okay to accept that we have been classically conditioned and convinced that our temperament is derived from a racial label. America, our success lies in our ability to ask questions. Why do we need racial labels? And how beneficial are they? Who exactly benefits from the use of these racial labels? And how exactly can we be separate and equal? We are aware that the word race means type, and the word type means kind. And if something is different, it is not considered the same. Together, we can use our knowledge that we can obtain at a swipe of a finger and become wise. We use the word fire, not only because it is a word, but because it gives a description of heat as a warning. We are in year 2020. Ignorance should be rare, and our pride should be our shame. Let's recreate a country where we are proud to pledge allegiance for which it stands, liberty and justice for all. And together, we can make headway to greatness. But first, we must accept the fact that we are all Americans, and only together we can.